Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. I'm Professor Amani Refat. I live in Egypt, and I have the pleasure to be the chair of the Mini Grant Program and the founding member of the Women and Health Together for the Future. Today, we have the information session. Let me remind you again, would you kindly mute your mic now, because there is an echo. Somebody, yeah, okay, has the, I don't know. Can you kindly mute your everybody? Okay, thank you. There is everybody is muted, but someone is having echo.
Okay, I think we should go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, now I please mute. Yeah. Okay. To remind you again by the objectives of this mini grants, we have 10 mini grants of each of $1,000. It's a seed money. It's aiming to help with focus on gender-based violence, especially in the time of COVID. Teams are composed of at least three. One, early or mid-level academia. He could or she could be a postdoctor, working with a student, and affiliated community-based or faith-based organization. So it is should be innovative approach to have these projects. We will today, all applicants should be from low middle income countries like us all. And so we will have some successful examples. We have a lot. We worked for more than 25 years now in many projects, and we had a lot of experience in that. So before we start our schedule today, I invite Dr. Judy Lewis, the chair of the board of Women Health and Learning Pact and Together for the Future, for a welcome word.
Good day or evening, everyone. It's really wonderful and exciting to see that we are, and excuse me because I'm going to have to be admitting people while I do this. It's really wonderful that you're all here. We're very excited about starting our new grants program through the new organizational structure we have based in South Africa. And this is an opportunity for new people to get involved in doing the work to improve women's health, which is something I think we are all deeply committed to. So I invite you all to listen carefully to all the good examples we're going to present this morning. Ask as many questions as you have, because that's the purpose of this meeting. And then we will follow up with the workshop next week with Dr. El Musharrif, who's on this call as well from the University of Limerick. So it's great to see you all this morning, and I look forward to hearing from you. It's nice to have such a good participation from so many people. I think, Amani, I'm going to turn this back to you. I know we didn't get to everybody, but I think we have a lot to say, so we need to.
Yeah, we need to start.
Yeah.
Well, we will have the progress would be like that. We will hear from 4 examples from our previous mini grant work. Each presenter will present in about 5 to 7 minutes. Then we will delay the questions and answer to the end, with exception with Dr. Hester Julie, because she has to excuse. If you have an urgent question for her particularly, you can address her before she leaves after her presentation. This is why, because the aim is not to discuss the particular project, but the ideas and how each project works. What are the factors led to success? What are the pitfalls you can avoid? And ideas. So the questions and answer would be by the end. Now may I call for Dr. Hester Julie presentation. And I'm going to share it now. Okay. 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 I'm going to share Dr.
So maybe while we are looking for the PowerPoint to become visual.
I'm coming, yeah. PowerPoint. Right? That's true.
Okay, should I start talking while you are trying to set it up?
Yes,
Amani?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Here is it.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's very exciting to see newcomers on board. I have been a recipient of the mini grant for 2 consecutive cycles. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. And instead of giving you in-depth discussion of the projects itself, I would like to focus the 5 minutes that I do have on talking about the factors that made this project such big successes. Can I please go to the next slide?
Yeah.
I received 2 mini grants from Gates. The first one was 2009, and the second I would like to also refer you now to the very quickly to the last slide, if possible, to the 2017 slide. Can you do that, Amani?
Yes.
So we started off in 2099, the very last slide, please.
You need the next one.
The very last slide, slide 5, the next one.
Oh, the very last, the last. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So if you actually look at the next slide, you will see that the title and the date there is 2017. So with a very small seed fund from Gates in 2009, this has actually led to a gender-based violence, and specifically the service learning projects linked to gender-based violence becoming institutionalized in the curricula of the nursing students. And the initial, sorry, Amanda, I'm going to ask you to go to and fro back to slide 2, please. So the initial intention of the 2009 application for the grant was just to focus on a specific church group. Because what I would like to make very clear to you is that if you have a very clear strategy and you are very clear in terms of who are your stakeholders and what are your long-term goals, you are actually able to cascade the project and use the seed funding to really tap into and to connect with many other collaborators. So initially, the focus was just on one church because I was a member at that church. And because I say I spent my life between the university and the church. That is actually my sphere of influence. Another pointer there is if you wish to have a real long-lasting impact, you must make sure that you have a credible history with your collaborators, because people do not buy in overnight. And you will actually see in 2009, our project, the whole year took just to do a needs analysis and take into consideration, this was at my church where I was a leader. But because gender-based violence is such a taboo subject, even in our churches, I was actually taken aback that we had to do intensive 4-hour workshops with the leadership before they really allowed us to access the congregants. And for that specific, because it was actually about unpacking and making them aware that within their congregation, there is actually gender-based violence going on. And after we have convinced them, they then decided in 2009 that they will actually adopt for the next year strategic objective for the church, gender-based violence. And they also actually highlighted a slogan, "We care enough to listen." That actually happened in the beginning of 2009, but we had to work towards getting buy-in from the leadership. And our master students, they did the work. Because remember, in the church, we have highly professional people. So you cannot bring in somebody to do the training that is not knowledgeable, that does not have the expertise. Another pointer, so when we present things to our communities or potential partners, we have to make sure that we really are on top of our game. The second year, we could only start with our implementation, because at that stage, we had now access to the church, and we had the trust of the leaders, and the intention was to reach the youth, because they were our focus population. But we couldn't get access to them. So we decided, okay, we are going to train the trainers. But that could only happen after we have done focus group discussions with the leadership. We've done workshops, and we've done also a survey amongst all of the congregants. And based on that information, that empirical evidence, we convinced the leadership. So the next phase was we had to deviate completely from our initial plan, because we thought it was going to be the master students, it was going to do the training only for the leaders of the youth, and they will then start doing the things. But because of the great need, we brought on board also the undergraduate nursing students, the fourth-year students who had gender-based violence as one of their modules. And because of that, it actually brought in another dimension, because now I had to work with other academic colleagues, but because of the needs of the community members, we had to bring on board other collaborators. So you will see in the last slide, we brought in Real. Now, Real was actually, they focused specifically on the rehab of substance abuse, because gender-based violence and substance abuse go hand in hand. It was also a very great need in terms of income generation. So we had to, in order for us to have a successful project focusing on GBV, we had to actually prioritize their needs and link our aim to those to express needs of the collaborators. So, and I only have 5 minutes, but I think what I would like to conclude in 2017, again, can you go to the 4th slide, please? Yes. So you will actually see that it was quite a huge team that came on board. And in 2017, the nursing students actually took the lead and they had media coverage. In fact, they actually raised awareness at university level about the plight of GBV. And they went to the streets and they generated funds and they used some of the funds to actually send some of the women for training, for home carers. And because of that, we are able to go into that community at any time. But we have really built trust to do that. So just in conclusion, so if you wish to really have long-term impact, you need to be strategic in your partnerships. You need to be also strategic and willing to adapt according to the needs of your potential partners. And ultimately, you have to make sure that the voice of your target population comes through very strongly. And in fact, that they are the decisive factor in all of your decisions. With that, I would like to conclude. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Julie. We have, if there is an urgent question to Dr. Julie before she executes, one question. If there is a question, you are welcome to ask. If not, we will continue to the next presentation.
People should be submitting questions. Yeah. I was just going to say people should submit questions through the Q&A panel.
Yeah.
Sorry, also just to alert everybody that I did make available a summary of the project. So if you would like to have more information, it is available from Professor Amani. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of those deliberations.
Thank you, Hester. Happy Easter.
Yeah. So I will get Dr. Sureka next.
Thank you, Amani.
Yeah.
I'm Professor Sureka Taide. I'm from Jawaharlal Nehru Institute of Medical Sciences, and I'm from Wardha. And can I have my slides, Amani?
Yes, sure.
So I have been the recipient of the Mini Grant Award twice in succession. And both the awards have been on gender-based violence. And I would like to remind the audience that these are not my slides, Amani.
Yeah, next slide.
They're Godwin slides, Amani.
Yeah. These are Godwin slides.
Oh, no, yes, this is Sureka. Oh, I'm sorry, no. This is Godwin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'll just continue talking so that I can engage the audience.
Yeah, sorry.
And
okay.
This year, we are focusing, the theme is gender-based violence for our mini grants. And for the audience, we are going to give 10 grants, each of $1,000 US. So both of my projects, which I have received grants for, have been on gender-based violence, and both projects have been done in the community, in the state of, yes, this is mine. This is mine.
Okay.
No, it wasn't.
Amani.
It was Yanira's.
That's okay.
I open it. Yeah,
please
I open it as
slides.
yours. Yeah, I open yours. However,
okay. Not to worry. So these two grants I have Both of them have been done in the state of Maharashtra in district Wardha, in and around Sevagram, where I was a faculty for last 20 years. This year, since last 1.5 years, I have joined the Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College. Previous slide, I would like to read out. This slide, Amani. This is the Medical Institute where I am faculty.
Next one.
Previous one. This is next.
Oh,
the previous one, Amani.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Previous to this.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm clicking on it.
It'll take time, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm not able to see any.
Yes, this is one. Yeah.
Prior to this.
This is the slide, sorry.
No, this is not the first one. The first one has my title. Okay, are you able to see?
Okay.
Mitra is saying we can see. The title slide I'm not able to see. I don't know whether my internet is a problem. Okay.
It's okay, Surika. Why don't you just go ahead?
Okay, so
yeah.
So this, my project was about creating awareness amongst rural women in 10 villages of Wardha, and we used the auxiliary nurse midwives, which we call ANM, and as well as ASHA. ASHA is an accredited social health activist. Both of these are peripheral health workers woven in the public health system of India. We use these health workers to create awareness amongst rural women in the villages around Sevagram. And also we conducted a survey for to study the prevalence of violence against women in rural Indian villages. In India, gender-based violence is normative. People consider it as normal, and many people consider that it does not even exist. I mean to say that the society doesn't consider these events as violence at all. So for us, the one thing which we wanted to do and which was innovative was to use these peripheral health workers already existing in the public health system and to go into the villages amongst the community and find out what is the extent of violence. Does it exist? And if it does, then is it perpetuated by the family, that is the husband or partner? And what about violence in the community in the form of violence by strangers? So these were the two parts which we included in our survey. The third thing which we wanted to, which was innovative for our project was to create awareness with the help of a street play, which we called as Pathanatya in our local language. So we go and take in the streets or wherever the busy areas are, like a marketplace or a school or a PHC, and there we would enact, our teammates would enact these street plays to create awareness among the villages, among the community members. And thus, we started this project in 2016. The initial activities was to identify who would be the stakeholders, who would be our teammates, and then develop the survey instrument, whatever survey instrument we used. We validated and pilot tested that survey. And after that, we identified these 10 ANM and ASHA workers from the community itself. We identified them and we trained them by conducting an interactive workshop on violence against women, so that these workers are trained to go and collect data with the help of the survey instrument. And we liaised with the public health authorities and coordinated with them so that we could go in the community and collect data. So we collected this data from 500 women from these 10 villages. Apart from that, we organized focus group discussions in the community. Ms. Jennifer Lardner from USA was the key person who conducted these focus group discussions in the community to find out about the prevalence, what were the issues, what are the factors, and overall, what was the existing data regarding to violence against women. After that, we analyzed the data, and apart from that, for the awareness activity, we formed a drama team, and for that we engaged the medical and nursing students from the institute. So one drama team consists of the medical students, and the drama team was from the nursing students. We also engaged a professional drama teachers to, for the so that we could perform the drama well. We wrote the script, we practiced, and then we liaised with the local village authorities, some key persons from the villages, and so that we could identify the areas where we would be enacting the play. So this is called as a street play, and it is a little dramatic, but will focus on the actual existing situation in that particular area. So this was very well accepted and caused a lot of impact, and we got a lot of engagement from the community when we went with this drama team to the community and we performed, and we then had dialogue with the villagers regarding the existing gender-based violence. We also conducted other activities, like we conducted the workshop for physician, then social engagement activities in the communities in the form of Rangoli competition, so that people would come out and share their experiences, and we could build trust with the community. Already we were working in these communities since last 15 to 16 years. So we had a rapport with this community, with their leaders, and they accepted whatever we were telling them. And after that, we evaluated the data. I just would like to share the data in 2 minutes. Next slide, please, Hamani, so that I can talk about the data which we collected. Next slide. So what we found from the data was that the gender-based violence was very, very common in this community, and it was almost like previous slide, Amani, please. Previous one. Yes, so all the women, so we collected the data in 2 parts. One was the violence perpetrated by partner or husband, and another by strangers. So this is the data, all the previous slide. All the women experienced some form of violence outside the home. 13% experienced sexual assault. All but 3, that is 97% of them experienced violence by husband. This included 48% threatening to it, 51% throwing a hard object, 51% pushing, shoving, other forms of violence, repeated violence. And again, also you can see from the slide that violence was also by stranger, and while traveling in the public transport, while walking alone at night. So this is the data which we collected and we shared with the community. Apart from that, we came to the conclusion that we found out actually that in these villages of Varda, it is not acceptable to leave your husband even if there is serious violence happening with the lady, because there is no other solution for her. I'm specifically talking of this particular area of geographical region of Varda. possible solutions from group interviews were found out, like, treating women equally, which is a huge cultural shift, reducing men's alcohol use, recruiting male leaders, elders of the villages to become educators and role models. So this was what my project was based on. And as a follow-up of this project, we as a team took up another project. Next slide, please. And that project was engaging rural men and boys to actually prevent violence against women. So these are some pictures of the activities which we conducted. First one is the training of the health professionals. So whenever you are picking up any project, so there are various points which you should consider. One, the idea should be innovative. Second, the idea should be acceptable to your community. Third, you should have a team. Fourth one is you would always need to have some training of trainers prior to going into the community, and then building trust with the community so that you can actually make the project work for a longer period of time. Though the grant is small, it can be considered as a seed grant, and the sustenance would come if you have a nicely planned goals and objectives for your in China. And this is this poster for that. Thank you very much. Any questions I can take up later. Thank you, Amani.
Thank you, Dr. Sureka. Thank you. Now we will have Dr. Godwin presentation. So, yes, this is the one. Yes. Dr. Arja, you're welcome to present.
Yes, thank you very much, Amani, and greetings to everyone. Actually, I was one of the beneficiaries of the WHTF Gates mini grants. I got quite many, but I'm going to share just a few. By way of introduction, I'm Godwin Aja. I'm a professor of public health and currently the MPH director of our program here in the Philippines. Next slide.
Okay.
Next slide.
Yes.
Amani, next slide.
This is, yes,
okay.
This is slide
well,
2.
This is, I would call that my flagship project, because that was actually my very first project where I worked with women support groups in Nigeria using one of the products of WHTF, which I know will be shared with you soon. It's a great resource that you might need as you plan your project. So actually we use this project, this resource, to train women support groups in Nigeria to develop new programs. You can see the objectives here and the methods that we used, and then the results. The women groups came up with these resources, using the WHTF materials that we shared with them. And I would like to mention that this project actually led to an award in 2009 in faraway Bogota when we had a network conference. Next slide.
Yes, it is coming.
And while it is coming, I just would like to let you know that while developing your project, I would suggest that you come up with a project that will have a multiplier effect. And what do I mean by that? A project that will lead to another project, that will lead to another project. That way you are using one stone to kill many birds. That same the project that I just shared with you led to this publication. And we were so excited to share the lessons that we learned with the world and the public health community. Next slide. Okay, while we are waiting for that, okay, yeah, it's another community-based program where we brought in traditional birth attendants to come and lecture our students. It was quite innovative because these are community resources that we don't usually talk about. You know, we use them, we benefit from the resources that they share, but we don't give them the recognition that they desire. So we brought this traditional birth attendants to our classroom to share their practices with our students, and that was very unique. These are the results, and this was also presented during one of the conferences, I think in Thunder Bay, Canada. Next slide. Well, the next slide shows another product that came out of the Women and Health Learning Package that I know Deanira will share with us, or Judy will mention that at some point. So that same resource was used to train young ladies, girls, who after going through that material came up with some ideas on some pertinent aspects of the materials that they felt were more useful to them. And then from there, we developed this handbook that was circulated in different countries, and we're even working towards translating it to local languages. Next slide. So the next slide also shows some other resources that we generated. In fact, we used the material, the handbook that I just shared with you, to train adolescents and got them to use the information there to generate these clips, in form of a flip chart. So using materials to develop multiple resources, that is that's key to the projects that I was involved in. So as you design your program or your project, think of programs or projects that will have multiplier effect. Next slide.
Yeah.
I would like to note that generally these projects contributed significantly to my career progression, and they provided opportunities for community engagement. So you need to come up with projects that will create a win-win paradigm, because I benefited, the community benefited, the research community benefited through my presentations at conferences, my research, my publications. And of course, that brought recognitions to Gates, who funded the project, and then WHTF, and also brought recognitions to my university and to my students. I remember some of my students participated in many of the conferences that I attended and were also involved in all of those projects. So thank you so much. That's just a brief presentation. If you need details of what we did, I can always share with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Godwin. Now we will have Dinera, Dr. Gonzaleza. Okay. Yes, this is the one. I'm sharing it, hopefully. Yes. Dr. De Leon, you can start, yeah.
Thank you, Amani. Hello, everyone. I'm going to very briefly present one of the most important initiatives of Women and Health Together for the Future, which is our Women and Health Learning Package. It is an online, flexible, and free learning resource, and it can be used by educators, health providers, health sciences students, and community workers. The first edition was launched in 2003, and it currently includes 9 learning modules on different topics and at different stages of development. The next, please, Amani.
Yeah.
The topics of the modules are here in this list, including violence against women, gender and health, adolescent health, unwanted pregnancy and unsafe abortion, contraception, nutrition and women's health, safe motherhood, women's mental health, and cervical cancer. The next, please, Amani.
Yeah.
Well, these modules of the package have been developed by academics from universities from many countries in the South. And the models are an effort to change the way in which the knowledge about women's health is understood and transmitted to health professions students. The modules are flexible resources to be adapted, translated, modified, or supplemented to meet local needs, and especially the needs of our students. Each module contains other information, a global, regional and country-specific overview of the topic, resources, bibliographical resources and recommended websites, case studies from different countries, and tutors and students' notes for guiding the discussion of the case studies. The next, please.
Yes.
Well, in 2003, 7 universities were selected by Women and Health Together for the Future to pilot projects using the package. The projects were implemented in 2004 and 2005 with technical assistance from GETS, and we were initiating our mini grant program. The idea was to increase awareness about these topics and to document the effectiveness of the package of the modules in different cultural settings. Until now, 44 mini grant projects have been funded by our organization. 10 projects have been specifically focused on violence against women. So there is some experiences about this. The modules on violence against women and gender and health are the most relevant for this goal for mini grants applications this year. And the idea is to enrich these models by having new mini grants and new experiences on violence against women. Thank you.
Thank you, Dianera. Now we heard many successful examples. We are open now for questions. You have it for any question you have it about the process, the ideas, what do you want to know more? You are welcome to ask, or you can send it in the chat if you cannot unmute yourself. Okay. We are open now to questions. We want to hear from you. If you have any question.
There are some questions in the chat.
Of course, you have the time to
take those.
Yeah. No, I think there is a question, yeah, for you about the poor contraception can be planned. We'll need your guidance to help us choose a topic too.
Yeah. Okay. So good social topic. Female feticide they are talking of, which is there in India.
Yeah.
And poor contraception. So is this Prem Adish Lekhi? So again, when we choose a topic, you need to know your community well. That is one thing. So if you have good communication with your community and you know what is the need there, is your project feasible, who would be your teammates, how would you engage the community, and all those things you need to think about. And specifically in this COVID times, when you may not be yourself able to go into the community physically, so do you have some connections which your ideas can be transferred through these workers who already exist in the community? So in that way, you have to plan. Like in my second project, I took care of 10 social worker students. Okay, so which we called as Master of Social Work, MSW students here from Wardha. And we conducted another survey through for men. So this time we conducted a men's survey through these social worker students. So if you cannot go yourself, do you have, networking in the community so that your ideas can flow? So that way you have to think. So that way you have to plan and choose a project. Ramani, next question, please.
Thank you. Yeah, Tonika, she's raising her hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Godwin wanted.
Tonika is raising her hand.
Amani, may I just contribute to Sureka's point? I would like to say that the best topic is actually a topic that is born out of your experience, interacting with the community and from your class discussions and from what you see around you, and of course, needs assessment would help expose those issues of interest. So, yeah, we can always suggest topics, but I think that topics that are born out of your personal experience would go further. You know, that's my own point of view. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sonika, you raised your hand. You can unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Surekha. My question is for you. What are the obstacles faced by you while implementing your project, especially from, I would say, the male members of the community you worked in?
Yeah, I had some challenges, starting from presenting the project in the ethics committee review board of my institution. So the challenges will be there. So one of the professors from the ethical board in the meeting said, everything is fine in the community now. They are living peacefully and there's no problem. If you go into the community and try to conduct a survey and ask women, have you been ever hit by your husband? Does he push you anytime? Does you call you names? So if you go into the community and you ask these questions to the women in front of their own family members, you're going to stir trouble among the family members themselves. So you're not going to cause any benefit, but you're going to do harm in the community. That is what the professor said, the professor of public health, one of the senior professors, he commented that in the ethical review board meeting. So the challenge starts from there. And once you go into the community and start conducting such survey, it is really a sensitive issue here. You have to, the training, the survey instrument itself has to be, you have to take into the local context, the cultural context, where you're going to meet these women, you know, all these things, there are challenges. So if you have people who already work in the community, you know, like the ASHA workers and the ANMs already working with the women there and giving other services, like, you know, the ASHA workers here are, you know, they are conducting the childbirth, they are doing other surveys. So they are already knowing the community. So that is the key, I think. If you can liaise with them and if you have connections with them, if your team forms people from the community itself, and the community feels that this project is good for them, then I think it would be a success. Like our dramas, a street play was very well accepted, I think. Thank you, Mani.
Thank you, Dr. Surekha. Yeah, we have two questions now, and I think we are on the time now. So two questions or two persons, Noha and Glory. Noha, we can read it that you are asking about the difficulty in conducting projects in the field with the era of the COVID now. It is open for presenter, and let me also say Glory is also asked two questions. Is this presentation is available? I can say yes, because we are recording the session. So they will be available, Glory. And if it is possible to replicate Surekha or others projects, well, I believe in other geographical location, if it fits, this is my point of view, that if it fits in your community, and if you want to replicate another work, and if it is relevant to your community. However, I want to hear the answers from the presenters, Godwin, Denera, and Surekha, about these 2 points, about working during the pandemic and about replication of previous projects.
Yes, working in the during the pandemic can prove challenging. But
Yes.
We can use innovative tools, like we can use the social media itself, you know, the virtual platform, and the young students who are there on in today's meeting, they can find innovative ways, you know, of working on this issue of gender-based violence, creating some awareness through social media. You can use the platform. This social media platform itself is, you people know better how to make this work innovatively, so that this can prove, instead of thinking as a challenge, you can take it as a solution in itself. Okay, can you go virtually and do the project?
Okay, I would like to add by
Edwin, you
saying,
want to add?
yes, yes. In some of the projects that I'm involved in, what I have proposed doing is to set up community virtual centers, you know, because not everybody out there in the community is used to Zoom and Team and all of those other packages. So what I have planned and proposed is setting up virtual centers where those participants will show up and of course maintain the physical distancing rules and all the protocols, and then we'll still run our program. So what that would mean is setting up a system there that allows me to even connect with the community wherever I am. Even if I'm not there, I could still present and they will ask questions. Set up some cameras that will allow me interact with them virtually. So we can set up community centers and still be able to run our programs in the midst of the pandemic.
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, our time is up, and I know that participants may have more questions. They can send to us anytime.
Amani,
and Dr. Lewis, do you want? Yeah.
No, I
do
just
you
wanted
want
to say
add
we can talk for another few minutes. I think it's more important
Yeah.
that we respond to questions.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
And my
okay,
my comment was follow on to Godwin's, which I think that's an excellent idea. But you know, there are many ways that people can be creative, even in the time of COVID. And we, as a group, we had 8 sites in 7 countries to start to explore the impact of COVID lockdowns last spring. And we did this primarily through community relationships with people who interviewed on the phone. So, I mean, we just have to think in a different way about how to do some of these projects. And we will, I think, be looking for people who have creative approaches, considering the restraints that we're dealing with. But we also know that violence in the home has increased in many places as a result of the isolation imposed by COVID, which makes this an even more important problem. So that's all I wanted to say.
I can see that Glory has a question for Dr. Aja about the outcome of the TBA Classroom Community Learning Partnership. This is, I think, just a question.
Okay. I'm always guided by one of the things that I read. I think it was in one of the tunnels at Heathrow, in Heathrow Airport, and it says, "Do not underestimate the power of local knowledge." Yeah. There were many things that my students didn't know about the way TBAs diagnose pregnancy. So it was an opportunity for them to learn that. Like they talked about a particular leaf that the woman will have. It was about determining the gender of the sex of the baby. So they talked about a particular leaf that they could place on the palm of the woman, and then watch out if it will heat up her palm or not. And if it heats up the palm of the woman, then the baby is a girl and all of that. So this is an example of local knowledge that the students didn't know about. So, and of course, it helped them to generate cases, and of course, helped some of them to generate some research ideas, which they used in completing their project. So there were many outcomes that came out of that.
Thank you, Dr. We have Khalifa and McDonald, sorry. Okay, Khalifa, yeah, Dr. Musharraf. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for the presenters. I really enjoyed those presentations. I just want to share maybe a few thoughts with all of you here. I was the recipient also of many of those many grants, and those many grants, shaped my future, from that perspective. So I would like to thank Gates and WHD for that help that provided to me at my early stage. I want to talk about 2 points here. One, by design, this call now is to enable collaboration. So it's about collaboration between students, early career, and community. So this is really important. And why we are encouraging that? Because it's not like the student or the early career think about a topic and then approach, the community or the student. You need to work together in a collaborative way to think about that. So this one point. The second point is about being smart. It's how can we invest, a low amount, a kind of, it's a mini grant, 1,000. How can we invest this to have a high impact? So this is what we need to think about, okay? How this investment is smart. We need to invest as minimum as we can to have a high impact that will last. Like Godwin said, it's a seed fund that need to, lead to a bigger, a bigger project in the future. So in your application, we need to see that, right? This is a seed fund, but there is a potential. There is a potential from this project to grow, but that, that based on the collaboration and the local knowledge and your own experience. The last point that I want to mention here, gender-based violence is a very sensitive issue. And you need to bring ethical consideration when you think about it, that you are not doing more harm than benefit, that you understand the sensitivity of the community, and how are you navigating that. So next week, for those who are interested to apply for this mini grant, we will conduct a workshop for 2 hours to let you think in a design thinking approach. How can we design in a better way to write this project and present it in a competitive way? So thank you very much.
Thank you, Khalifa. McDonald, you raised your hand. Do you have a question?
Amani, can I just say something first? McDonald,
Yeah.
we are very happy to have Dr. McDonald as an intern from the University of Limerick. He's a physician. He's also an MPH student at the University of Limerick, and he's going to be working with us on the mini grant application process. So I just wanted to introduce you a little bit. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor, for that. I would just like to say that I'm delighted to be here in the midst of all of you. We're only a baby, compared to you guys, But I really enjoyed all the presentations, and my question to, I think, particularly to Dr. Sureka, because I really enjoyed your presentation, was, going into the community to start or implement an intervention is quite difficult, especially with culture. There's a lot of barriers you face during this process. What are the challenges, or what is the most common challenges that you all, this question is to everyone now, you all face, and what protocols or what procedures or what systems do you use to penetrate or to overcome these challenges that you all face?
Sureka?
So, yeah. So as many of us have already said, gender-based violence is a very sensitive issue. people don't want to speak about it. People actually don't want to accept that it exists in their communities. They say they want to create a real goody-goody picture that it doesn't exist at all. And that is where the challenge is, to find out people in the community who would be, the lies between you and the community. Maybe you are also working in the same community on other projects, and that creates a trust between you and the community that whatever you are going to work on would be of use. So it has to be need-based. Actually, you need to design a project which the community itself will say, okay, we want this. So if you can have a focus group discussion, maybe with few people from the community who may be leaders. So if you can talk with them, what kind of project would work in this particular setting and maybe in the COVID era, that actually is the key point. So you work with the community, maybe they are the stakeholders, they are the partners, your collaborators in your project. Maybe that would make things work, because it's a very sensitive issue. If you go in the community and ask people, okay, did you suffer violence? Did you suffer violence? You may get kicked out of the community itself. So we need to be very sensitive, and we need to partner with the people of the community itself.
Thank you, Surekha. I want
Khalifa,
to add
you have something to say on that?
No, I want to say something here, because I'm also a recipient of many grants before, and I'm grateful for that. I used, and this may answer your question, Noha, because I'm from Egypt too. I know that I addressed a different problem in gender-based violence, because it is not, I'm medical educator, so by training. So in addition, I'm a physician and I'm a university professor in medical school. We don't teach violence against women in our medical curricula. And so, and when I tried to introduce it, there was a lot of resistance, because this is not medicine. This is not our area. So what I did it differently. I used that money to have a training program for recently graduated physicians in their first year after graduation, to train them what is the violence against women. And my evaluation after that there is a lot of change. They are aware about the problem after that, because during medical school or medical curriculum, there was a challenge to introduce new topics sometimes. So you will find the problem and use your skills. I'm respected because I'm known in my school that I am a strong medical educator, because I'm trained. So when I introduced that, there was no resistance in having that training workshop for the graduates, different than in medical curriculum itself. So you have to select your community and your problem relevant to your community and to your culture, and you will be and use your skills where you are. And using students is very good point, because you are training the future professionals. Khalifa, do you want to add something? I don't know. Oh, Godwin, yeah.
Yeah. The issue, please, I just stepped out for, I hope he's still on the question that McDonald raised.
Yes.
The issue of trust is important.
Yeah.
And those of us in the academia, sometimes we are used to like going to communities when we need information from them. Mm-hmm. When we need data for research, what are we giving back to them? When we have built our relationship around supporting them effectively, in addressing their needs, then it becomes easier to go to them and then ask for more information and data and all of that. So I just would like to emphasize the importance of trust.
Yes, thank you. Do we have more questions? Dr. Lewis, do we have more minutes for more questions, or we
I think we're pretty much at the end of the time, but
yes.
I also would like to thank all the presenters for doing such a lovely job.
Great. Yeah.
And to also say, to follow up on your point, Amani, that again, thinking creatively, the audience or the group of people that you want to have an impact on. So if we're talking about going out to the community, but we're talking about collaborating with the community, not going out to the community. And it might be that in some places, the community could help change the curriculum in the health professions school.
Yeah.
And that's another way to think about doing change. It's not always us going out, but as Godwin so eloquently presented, them coming in and teaching us. So there may be some aspect of that that somebody wants to follow up on in terms of a project for this year. And I just want to say, we will not put I don't think we can put the recordings up on the website, but we can put the presentations up.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I want to thank everybody, the presenter and the audience, for their time today. And we are here for any questions. After that, you can communicate with us by email to Dr. Judy Lewis or to myself. And we have the website. You are welcome to post or to send to us any question later. And hopefully by next week, all of you will attend the important workshop that will be conducted by Professor Khalifa, because that will help you to develop a very good proposal or application.
I just have one final, sorry, Aman, I know that you want to, but one of the prerequisites for this mini grants is that you need to be a member of the organization. So, so this will be this mini grants will only be available for members of the organization. The membership is very minimum. So what I'm suggesting that if you are not now a member, you need to go to the organizational website, which is very easy, w24f.org. I put it in the chat as well. So next workshop will be available for those who are interested to apply, and for those who are members or in the process of being a member of the organization.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Khalif, for that.
Yeah, thank you, Khalif. Judy, do you want to add something before we
No, that was my point, Khalif. It was very elegant about it. So,
okay, yeah.
So thank you all.
Thank you.
Judy, can we ask the participants to put up their on their videos so we can take a picture?
You mean
a screenshot.
A screenshot, but then everybody has to
or people who are there
turn their cameras
on.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can get everybody because there are too many. You'll have to do 2 separate screenshots.
No, she did it before. I know that.
She's a professional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you don't have all
so I'm
of
trying to take the first one. And I asked Bhageshri to take the other one, please. Thank you. Thank you. Did that? Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.